Hello, good evening, everyone. Okay, so let us deal with an important topic today, that is the cell. Okay, cell, its structure and function of the cell. Okay, yeah, so I will be sharing the screen. Okay, so first of all, let us deal with the cell structure and function. Okay, yeah. So what do you mean by cell? A cell is a, as the name itself says, structure and function, right? So here the cell is the structure and functional unit of an organism. Okay, so all living organism has cell in them. Okay, yeah, so they are the structural and functional unit of organisms. Okay, so here animal cell and plant cell. So all plants have a cell in it. All plants are made up of cell, whereas all animals are also made up of cell. So it is a microscopic unit. Okay, so we will be observing it under only microscope. It is not seen through the naked eye. It is only seen under the microscope. Okay, yeah. So uh, as I told, it is the basic structural and functional unit of life, right? So basic means it is the fundamental unit, right? So it is the foundation of all living organisms. Okay, and also it keeps on dividing, so it has a replicative nature. Okay, self replication happens. Okay, so here there is a person. Okay, so you can see the person to your right. So he is Robert Hooke. Okay, so in 1665 he took a cork and he observed under the microscope. So when he observed under the microscope, he saw the honeycomb like structures. Okay, so because it was looking like a cell, he named it as a cell. Okay, so there are single celled organisms also and multicellular organisms also. Okay, so single celled organisms are called unicellular organisms, whereas many celled organisms are called multicellular organisms. Okay, uni single, multi many. Okay, so usually the cell structure, each cell has different size, different structure, right? So it varies, the diameter, the size of the cell varies from 2 to 120 micrometers. Okay, the smallest cell is the sperm cell. Okay, and the largest cell is the ovum. Okay, so here are the examples for unicellular and multicellular organisms. Okay, so unicellular, all are single celled here. Bacteria, paramecium, amoeba, chlamydomonas, they're all single celled organisms. Whereas octopus, pteromyzon, and here we can include human beings, then plants and other animals also you can include under multicellular organisms. Okay, so now we are clear with unicellular and multicellular organisms, right? Okay, so who put forth this cell theory? There have been a theory called cell theory. Okay, so what does this theory says? This theory says all the living organisms are made up of cells, right? So as we have discussed, the definition of cell itself is, it is the basic structural and functional unit of life, right? So all the organisms must have cell in it. Okay, so Robert Hooke put forth this because he observed cells under microscope, right? So this credit goes to Robert Hooke. Then cells are the smallest working unit of all living organisms. So it is microscopic smallest of all the things that are present in our all the living organisms. Okay, and all the cells arrive from pre-existing cells through cell division. Okay, so already the cell is present, right? So that undergone multiple divisions and the number of cells increased in our body, right? So that is why it is told that it is from the pre-existing cell. So these three, Sheldon, then Schwann and Virchow, they have put forth these along with Robert Hooke. All of them put forth the cell theory. Okay, so this was put forth in 1839. Okay, so Sheldon and Schwann, they told that cells are the smallest unit, and Robert Hooke, he identified the cell, and Virchow told that the cell comes from pre-existing cells by division. Okay, yeah. What are the constituents means what is present in the cell. Okay, so we know what is cell now. Who introduced cell, all those things we know, but in that small microscopic thing, what might have present in that? Okay, so the substances that are present inside the cells are many. Okay, there are too many substances that are found, so that collectively called as protoplasm. Okay, so the cell protoplasm has lot many substances in it. Like for example, first our cell has water content, that is 70 to 80% of the cell is filled with water. Okay, then other components are also present like carbohydrate, lipids, proteins, and other electrolytes are also present like sodium, magnesium, potassium, then phosphate, calcium, bicarbonates. All these electrolytes are present in cell. Okay, so and along with that, we also have subcellular structures. That is the major components. These are the major components that are present in the cell. Okay, that makes up the cell. We don't say that it is present in the cell. That makes up the cell. Okay, so which are the major structures? One is the cell membrane. Okay, so the cell membrane, the outer cover of the cell membrane, that is the cell membrane. Then cytoplasm and its organelles. Okay, then coming to the nucleus. Okay, where are these present? Where is cell membrane present? Where is cytoplasm present? Where are the nucleus present? Yes, something we have to know about it, right? Yeah, so this is the structure of the cell. Okay, so here we have different components of a cell. Okay, so lot many components are there. So here you have the nucleus, right? Here you have the nucleus, which is made up of nuclear envelope. Where is the nuclear envelope? See, here is the nuclear envelope. Okay, and you have so what is this exactly called, known as nuclear envelope? So this is a membrane. Nuclear envelope is a membrane, okay, that surrounds the nucleus. Okay, so this is lined with proteins and also have small pores on it. Okay, why is this pore? To allow the movement of components inside and outside the nucleus. Okay, and next you have, see these structures what you have. Okay, so these are chromatin, network. Okay, so what is this chromatin network? It is the DNA, okay, which is associated with proteins. DNA coiled around the proteins, that is the chromatin network. And you have the nucleolus here. Okay, so it is the condensed region. Okay, so here ribosomes are formed, right? Yes. So then coming to the cytoskeleton, right? So the cytoskeleton, which has these many components, you can see here microtubules. Where are the microtubules? So we will know in detail in further slides. Okay, yeah. So microtubule, this forms the spindle and maintains the shape of the cell. Okay, then coming to the centrosome. Okay, so where is it? Here is the centrosome. So this is the microtubule organizing center, right? Then coming to, these are intermediate filaments. Okay, so these are the filamentous structures which holds the cytoplasm in intact. Okay, all the organelles intact in the cytoplasm. Okay, so then comes, these are microfilament. So here you have microfilament. So these are the fibrous proteins, okay, so that are found in the cytoplasm. Okay, so this helps in cell division when the cell has to divide. So these things helps in cell division. Microtubules helps, microfilaments, these helps in cell divisions. Okay, and next is the plasma membrane. So just like nuclear envelope, we have the plasma membrane here. So what is this? Again, it is the outer covering of the cell. Okay, so this plasma membrane is made up of fatty material. Okay, so it is the double layered structure. Okay, so this also has pores on it, which allows the molecules to enter inside and outside. Okay, then comes the lysosomes. So here you have lysosomes, right? So this digest food and waste materials. Okay, so then comes Golgi apparatus. So Golgi apparatus, here it is. So this, it makes and packages, modifies proteins. Okay, so then the main thing is the cytoplasm. Here is the cytoplasm. The whole thing is the inside the cytoplasm itself, all these organelles are scattered, right? So this cytoplasm is a jelly like substance. Okay, so it is a fluid matrix, jelly like fluid matrix. Okay, so this is found from the nuclear envelope to the plasma membrane. It is all covered between the nuclear envelope and the plasma membrane, where all the organelles are found in this cytoplasm. Okay, so then comes to mitochondria. Okay, so this is the site of energy synthesis. Okay, you have heard of ATP, right? Adenosine triphosphate. So here energy is made. Okay, then coming to the vacuole. So here you have the vacuole. So this is the storage area. Vacuole stores fat and other substances. Okay, then this is the endoplasmic reticulum. You have the structure attached to the nuclear envelope, right? So that is endoplasmic reticulum, right? So here you have two types of endoplasmic reticulum. One is rough endoplasmic and other one is smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, why it is rough endoplasmic? Because it is associated with ribosomes. Okay, that makes proteins, whereas smooth endoplasmic reticulum is not attached with ribosomes, but it makes protein, lipids, right? So then peroxisomes, you have peroxisomes. So this metabolizes the waste and detoxifies the body. Okay, then yeah, I think everything is told. Yeah, What is a ribosome? A ribosome is a tiny protein producing factories. Okay, so proteins, what are proteins? Proteins, they secrete chemicals that are targeted to the each organs, okay, to function properly, right? Yeah. So going on to the next slide further in detail. So cell membrane. So what is a cell membrane? The plasma membrane, it is the outermost structure of the cell which covers the cell. It covers the cell. Okay, so it is made up of bilipid layer. Okay, so two lipid layers. So you can see the lipid layer in this picture, right? So the bilipid layer is seen here. See, and the protein is attached to it. Okay, so it is also the phospholipid bilayer. Okay, so it is like this. See the hydrophobic tail at one side and hydrophilic head at the other side. So phospholipid layer. So the cell membrane is made up of phospholipid layer. Okay, it also has, as I told, it has proteins in it, right? So the integral proteins, that means the proteins that are found inside and the proteins that are found at the layers outside, okay, which makes the channel for the components to move in and out of the cell. Okay, so here is the envelope, what you see, the yellow part, and when you zoom it, it looks like this. Okay, yes. So what are the functions of cell membrane? So it is the outer layer, right? So the initial primary function should be the protection, correct? So it is a protective layer. So it forms the outermost boundary. That is why it is the protective layer. Then it also is digestive in nature. That means it takes in food and excretes the waste products, right? So we have seen the membrane bound proteins, right? So through those channels, it takes in food and it excretes the waste products out. Okay, so it is also a selectively permeable membrane. Selectively permeable means selective. It chooses only some molecules to pass in. Okay, it is not completely permeable. So whatever comes, it won't take in. It chooses what it wants. Okay, so some non-polar molecules like oxygen, carbon dioxide, lipids, then hormones, steroids. So these are the non-polar molecules which move rapidly across the membrane. And some polar molecules like water soluble ions, urea, glucose, so they also penetrate, but it takes some time. So it is much slower in movement. Okay, so and the properties of this cell membrane, such properties, right? So that is permeability, permeable property allow the passage of the molecules to pass in and out, and hence maintaining the interstitial fluid, that is intracellular fluid and extracellular fluid, balanced, okay, in the cell, right? And also this cell membrane helps to link the adjacent cells together. Okay, so one cell communicates with the other cell, right? So because of this cell membrane, right? And also it has insulating properties. Okay, so as it is dielectric in nature. Got it? Yeah. So moving on further. So now coming to the cytoplasm and its organelles. As I told you, cytoplasm is the jelly-like matrix that are found inside the cell membrane, inside the plasma membrane, right? So the jelly-like substances, and organelles that are in the cytoplasm scattered here and there, right? Yeah. The first one, let us take up the cytoplasm. So as I told you, it is a gel-like semi-transparent fluid. Okay, it is a thick gel-like semi-transparent fluid. So this cytoplasm is present in both plant cell as well as in animal cell. Okay, so what is present inside the cytoplasm, as we already know, as we already discussed, that is organelles. All the organelles are present inside the cytoplasm, right? And the cytosol, and then other cytoplasmic inclusions like electrolytes, that this what we have discussed, right? So, and this cytoplasm, it covers, it is it is inside the plasma membrane. So the outer covering will be the plasma membrane, right? So it is bounded by the plasma membrane, right, to protect the inner parts of the cell along with the cytoplasm and organelles. It also protects the organelles, right? So in eukaryotic cells, right? Yeah. So see here, all the organelles are scattered in the cytoplasm, right? So these are the organelles, correct? Yeah. So what is the cytosol? Cytosol, it is the aqueous part of the cytoplasm. Apart from the organelles, what is the liquid matrix that are found in the cytoplasm is the cytosol. Okay, so it also has its own proteins, correct? So it also forms the 70% of the total cell volume. So imagine the amount of cytosol present in the cell, right? So it is also a gelatinous substance consisting mainly of filaments. We have seen microfilaments and organic molecules, carbohydrates, lipids, etc., and salt, water. All these things are present in the cytosol. Okay, and this cytoplasmic matrix is composed of many chemical elements like atoms, ions, and molecules, like we have seen the electrolytes. Okay, so these are the main components of the cytosol. Okay, yeah. Next, which are the organelles that are present? We have discussed in the slide, for the first slide itself. Which are the organelles? The mitochondria, then endoplasmic reticulum, lysosomes, Golgi apparatus, peroxisomes, vacuoles. Okay, so these are the main organelles that are found in the cytoplasm of the cell, and we can include chloroplast also here, because chloroplast is present in plants, and all these organelles are present in animals as well as in plants. Okay, but chloroplast is present only in plants. Okay, and each organelle, all of these organelles what we have mentioned, they are bounded by lipid membrane, and each organelle's lipid membrane has the specific function to them. Okay, so coming to the first one, mitochondria. Mitochondria in 1850, Colliker observed the first mitochondrial cells in the muscle cells, the striped muscle cells. Okay, and this is called the powerhouse of the cell, because as I told you earlier, in mitochondria ATP is generated, right? That means the energy is made in mitochondria. That is why it is called powerhouse of the cell. Okay, so the length varies from 5 to 12 micrometers and the diameter 0.5 to 1 micrometer. Okay, and this has a cylindrical shape, right? You can see the cylindrical shape. Okay, so what are the components? It is made up of outer membrane, okay, and inner membrane is folded inwards because to increase the space to have the Racker's particles on this. So there is an external particle found on this called Racker's particle, where energy is made. Okay, so and these infoldings, okay, is called the cristae. Okay, why cristae is formed? Because to increase the space for energy production. Okay, so when there are more cristae, more amount of energy ATP production will be formed. Okay, yes, and we do have their own cellular DNA. They have their own DNA, own ribosomes present, and also the space here in between at the center, it is called the matrix. And also you have a space between the outer membrane and inner membrane, which is called intermembrane space. Okay, so the membranes are made up of phospholipid and protein. So not only mitochondria, all the organelles, the outer membrane is made up of phospholipids and proteins. Okay, so what are the functions of mitochondria? So it contains large number of proteins called porins. Okay, so these forms the channel to allow molecules to enter in and move out of the mitochondria, right? So 5000 Daltons or less to pass, molecules of size 5000 Daltons or less to pass through it. Okay, so and this mitochondria is also provided with many enzymes, okay, which is concerned for oxidation, biological oxidation. So when biological oxidation takes place, energy is formed. Okay, so biological oxidation has to take place. So then matrix means this central part, the green part, what you are seeing. Okay, so this matrix contains many enzymes which deal in citric acid cycle, the TCA cycle or the oxidation cycle. Okay, so many metabolic pathways are involved here. Okay, like oxidation of carbohydrates, lipids, and amino acids, and also biosynthetic pathways like formation of urea, then formation of heme. Okay, so these are the major metabolic pathways that are formed in mitochondria. Okay, so and the inner membrane, this inner membrane has the foldings what we have discussed, that is the cristae. So this has ATPase, an enzyme called ATPase, that is concerned with the synthesis of ATP. Okay, and also it has enzymes which is responsible for electron transport chain. Okay, and also the purpose of mitochondria is oxidative photophosphorylation and synthesis of ATP. So these are the main mechanism that takes place inside the mitochondrium. Okay, so and it has its own mitochondrial DNA. Okay, to synthesize some of its proteins. Okay, yeah. So next, coming to the functions of mitochondria. So as we have discussed, it generates ATP. It is the power generating cell. So powerhouse of the cell. It generates ATP. And also it maintains the concentration of calcium ion. Okay, so within the various compartments of the cell. And also energy transduction happens through respiration, and as energy is made, thermogenesis also it is the responsibility of the mitochondria. Okay, so next, moving on to endoplasmic reticulum. So this is a structure which is tubular, which has tubular and flat structures. Okay, so you can see the tube like structures, see here, and the flat structures, right? This is also found in cytoplasm. Okay, so this membrane sac, what is found here, these are called cisternae. Okay, and the space inside is called cisternal space, and you can see endoplasmic matrix. Okay, so this is filled with endoplasmic matrix. See here, you can see the purple dots, right? So these are ribosomes attached to endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, and hence they are rough endoplasmic reticulum. Whereas here you can see there are no ribosomes found here in this, correct? So it is called smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, yes. So now difference between rough endoplasmic and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. So here we can take the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. See, as we have discussed, ribosome is absent here, right? Whereas in rough endoplasmic reticulum, ribosomes are present. In smooth endoplasmic reticulum, it is responsible for synthesis of lipids, steroids, and hormones. Okay, but in rough endoplasmic reticulum, it is protein synthesis, because ribosomes are responsible for protein synthesis, right? So synthesis of proteins, processing of proteins, and packaging of proteins take place here. Okay, so here in smooth endoplasmic reticulum, lipid forming, it is mainly present in adipocytes, that is lipid forming cells, right? And interstitial cells of the testes. Then glycogen storing cells of liver, then cortex cell, muscle cells, leukocytes, etc. And rough endoplasmic reticulum are found in pancreatic acinar cells and goblet cells, then in plasma cells where antibodies are released, the Nissls granules of the nerve cells. Okay, so what is the function of endoplasmic reticulum? It is mainly synthesis of proteins when it comes to rough endoplasmic reticulum, segregation of proteins, packaging of proteins, transporting of proteins, all those things takes place. And then formation of unsaturated fatty acids, and also it is helpful in muscle contraction. Okay, so in muscles, the endoplasmic reticulum is commonly known as sarcoplasmic reticulum. Okay, so the endoplasmic reticulum which are found in muscle fibers are called sarcoplasmic reticulum. Okay, so next coming to the Golgi bodies. So here, see, we have discussed about this now, endoplasmic reticulum. So next to the endoplasmic reticulum, you can see a similar structure, right? So this is called Golgi bodies. Okay, so these are also a sac-like structures, thin layered structures. These also has vesicles. Okay, and it resides nearby to endoplasmic reticulum and the nucleus, right? So this is made up of, see, the inner phase is called cis phase, whereas the outer phase is called trans phase. Okay, and the space here in between is called cisternae. Okay, so these are the functional uh, regions of the Golgi apparatus. Okay, so the function, what is the function of Golgi apparatus? So Golgi is responsible for wrapping and packaging department. Okay, so it wraps the proteins, it wraps and pack it. Okay, and transport it. Right, and it also produces granules, which are secretion granules. So, and also it stores hormones and enzymes, okay, in the protein secreting cells. It also packages proteins. Okay, so site of formation of lysosomes. This is the site of formation of lysosomes. Okay, so these are irregular structures which are surrounded by membrane, again the lipid by lipid membrane, and also present in the cytoplasm. Okay, so it also adds certain carbohydrates to form glycoproteins. So this play a major roles in association along with the cell to form the tissues. Okay. So then coming to lysosomes. So the diameter of the lysosome is 0.1 to 1.2 micrometers. Okay, so these are also irregular structures, right? It is more acidic in nature. Lysosomes are very much acidic in nature. Okay, it works in pH 5. Okay, so so when the external object enters the lysosome, okay, so here it engulfs or it digests the external component that has entered the lysosome, the foreign object like bacteria. Okay, so and as well as the worn out cells that are present inside our body, that is also engulfed by the lysosomes. Okay, so and hence this is also called a suicidal bag. Okay, so the cell in which it is present, if the cell is worn out, it just eats up the worn out cells. Okay, and these lysosomes are cell hydrolases. As I told, it works best in acidic pH around 5, the pH 5. Okay, so it also has the membrane, has the transport protein. You can see here the blue color, the proteins, transport proteins, right? And also hydrolytic enzymes. And this is the membrane. You can see hydrophobic and hydrophilic heads are found. Okay, then what are the functions? As I told you, it digests, it has lytic system. Okay, so because of the presence of enzymes inside the lysosomes, it engulfs, it start digesting all the foreign objects like bacteria and other macromolecules. Okay, and as I told you, it also engulfs the worn out components of the cells. Okay, and hence it is also called as suicidal bag. Okay, because why suicidal? The cell, when it dies, it eats up. Okay, so next comes peroxisomes. So peroxisomes, they are also a minute structures as like other organelles. These organelle also has the lipid bilayer and plasma membrane. Okay, and this has, see inside you can see the crystalline structure because of the presence of urate oxidase. Urate oxidase is an enzyme which makes the core crystalline. Okay, so this structure is also similar to lysosomes, but it has a different chemical composition. Okay, so these peroxisomes may be formed by the budding of endoplasmic reticulum or by dividing of the endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, yeah, and as see here you can see, because of the presence of oxidases, so because of the presence of oxidases. As I told you, urate oxidase is present. So oxygen here is made to in presence of hydrogen, it is made hydrogen peroxide. Okay, so then this hydrogen peroxide in presence of catalase enzyme, it splits into water molecule. Okay, so here peroxisomes, it has oxidases and catalases. Okay, so oxidases oxidizes to form hydrogen peroxide, whereas catalases, it degrades hydrogen peroxide to yield water and oxygen. Okay, and the proteins that are the proteins are directed to the peroxisomes with the help of chaperones, protein chaperones called peroxins. Okay, so I hope this thing is clear. So next, coming to the function. So what is the function? As we have discussed, hydrogen peroxide metabolism takes place and detoxification takes place, and also it helps in photorespiration in plants. Then biosynthesis of lipids takes place, and cholesterol are synthesized in animals, and bile acids are synthesized in livers. Okay, and synthesis of plasmalogens. Okay, so next, coming to the chloroplast. So chloroplast, as I told you, it is found only in plant cells, right? So because it contains chlorophyll pigment, which gives green coloration to the plant and also helps in photosynthesis. Correct. So chlorophyll is mainly responsible for photosynthesis. That means the plant prepare its own food, right? So chloroplast, as I told, it is the main site of photosynthesis, and as all the organelles, this also has double membranes. Okay, double outer membrane, and inner membrane is folded into stacks. Okay, so the grana. And see the stroma here, this blue color matrix, what you are seeing, all these things are the stroma, that is it is filled with the matrix. Okay, the fluid matrix. And you have the thylakoids here. So each thylakoid is found one on the other like a stack of coins. Okay, so all together it makes the granum. Okay, so all together it makes the granum, and the middle part of each thylakoid is the lumen of the thylakoid. Okay, and this also has its own DNA and ribosomes. So chloroplast is found only in plants. It is the plant organelle. It falls under the plastids group. Okay, so plastids are of different types. We have amyloplasts, where it stores food, okay, in roots and tubers, and the chromoplast, which gives color, which stores pigments for fruits and flowers. It gives coloration to fruits and flowers. And then chloroplast, which has chlorophyll pigment, which gives green coloration to the plant, the leaves, and also function in photosynthesis. Okay, and in leaves, other than overall in plants, other than chloroplast, other green structures are also found. Other pigments are also found. Okay, in plants and also in eukaryotic algae. So other than chloroplasts, chromoplasts, and amyloplasts, other structures are also found in plants. Okay. So the structure, as I have already discussed in the first slide, it is made up of two membranes. Okay, so outer membrane and inner membrane. And so as I told you, this is the stroma, which is filled with fluid matrix, and it has the DNA, ribosomes, and other enzymes are also present in it. And the thylakoids, these structures are called thylakoids. So thylakoids are placed one on the other as a stack of coins. Okay, and this is called granum. Okay, so this is where ATP is made. And why there are many stacks? Okay, it can be only one. Why many stacks? Again, just like mitochondria, what we have discussed, just go back and recall. We have the infoldings to give the increased space for the synthesis of ATP, right? Here also it is the same reason, to increase the surface area for membrane bound enzymes to generate ATP, right? So here we will see the photosynthesis in plants. What exactly happens? Sun. In presence of sun, plants, in presence of chlorophyll, okay, and photosynthesis in plants take place. Correct? So carbon dioxide, water, in presence of sun and chlorophyll in plants, in green leaves, photosynthesis takes place. Correct? And what is made? Food is made, glucose is made. Okay, so this glucose is oxidized. Okay, and ATP is generated. Okay. So now what happens with the release of during the respiration? Okay, glucose is oxidized and carbon dioxide and water is made, which is again involved in photosynthesis. Okay, so I hope this picture is clear. So let us compare the equation. Okay, photosynthesis, what happens? Carbon dioxide, water, okay, and energy is also utilized to form glucose, and the byproduct is oxygen. Okay. And what about respiration? The formed glucose, okay, is oxidized again to form carbon dioxide and water, okay, with the synthesis of ATP. Okay, so this is about comparison of photosynthesis and respiration. Okay, so photosynthesis takes place in plants, plant leaf, where chlorophyll, where it is takes place in chloroplast, right, where chlorophyll is present. Correct. And here even respiration also takes place along with in mitochondria also. Okay, so formation of glucose, it takes place in photosynthesis, whereas breakdown of glucose takes place in respiration. Okay, so here in photosynthesis the byproduct is oxygen, whereas in respiration it is carbon dioxide and water. Okay, and here light energy is used where in photosynthesis, and here the energy, whereas in respiration the energy is made, ATP is made. Okay, yes. So next, moving on to cytoskeleton. So here cytoskeleton, as we have discussed, it has microtubules which is made up of tubulin protein. Then it also has intermediate filaments and also microfilaments which are made up of actin. Okay, so these fibers, it maintains the structure of the cells, and also very important component to keep the cell in shape. Okay. Mm. So these cytoskeletal components are for anchorage. Okay, so that the cell will not move, and it will not collapse, or it will not change its position as and when it likes. Okay, so because of the presence of these cytoskeletal elements. Okay, so microtubules are a long hollow structure. Okay, so you can see here these are microtubules which is made up of tubulin protein. Okay, so they are hollow structure, approximately 25 nanometer in diameter. Okay, and so this determines the shape of the cell. It also involved in contraction of the spindle during cell division. Okay, and intermediate filaments, see here these blue color structure, this is the intermediate filaments. Okay, they hold the organelles intact. Okay, so they are 8 to 14 nanometer in diameter. Okay, so they hold the all the organelles intact in place. Okay, and so these intermediate filaments are cellular markers because it is different in each cell types. Okay, so not all the cells has the similar text, similar pattern of the intermediate filament. Okay, so the intermediate filament of one cell differs from the intermediate filament of the other cell. Okay, so the proteins make up this intermediate filament. Okay, so that is why it differs, and hence it can act as a cellular marker. By looking at the intermediate filament, you can tell that what type of cell it is. Okay, so then microfilaments are 4 to 6 nanometer in diameter. So this also comprises contractile protein which is responsible for movement of the cell. Okay, so what are the functions of cytoskeleton? So movement of chromosomes, because microfilaments, microtubules are present, movement of chromosomes during cell division takes place. Okay, and also movement of cell also is responsible because of those cytoskeletal structures. Okay, and also secretion granules that are found. So all the secretions of all the organelles that are found, it has to move, it has to go around, and it has to go out of the cell, come inside the cell. All these are taken care by these cytoskeletal components. Okay, and also, as I told, movement of proteins within the cell membrane, and also from one cell to the other cell. Next, coming to the nucleus. Okay, so here nucleus, you have the nuclear envelope, that is the the covering of the nucleus which give protection to the nucleus. And here you can see the thread like structures which are the chromatin fibers. Okay, this condenses to form the chromosomes, which is the DNA, which has the genetic component in it. Okay, and this extends from the nucleolus, in between nucleolus and the cell membrane, the nuclear membrane. Okay, and yes, I have told you it has a chromatin network, and also it has its RNA, then it has nuclear proteins. Okay, and the nucleus also has the structure called genetic material. What I told you, this chromatin network, it condenses to form the chromosomes, which has the genetic material, and it is responsible for transformation of characters from one generation to the other generation. Okay, and the matrix of nuclear lamina extends from the nucleolus to the envelope. Okay, and this nuclear lamina is the site of chromatin attachment. Okay, so here you can see in this lamina, okay, you can see the attachment of chromatin fibers everywhere, right? Yes, so this has DNA present in it. Okay, so I have told you a loop of DNA is found here, and also it the chromatin fiber, it just coils around the proteins. Okay, and hence forming the genetic material. Okay, next, functions. So it serves as a both repository of genetic information and also acts as a cell control. Okay, control center of the cell. So as I told you, gene expression is seen here. That means the characteristic of a person is decided by the presence of the type of gene of to that particular character, and also transformation of character from one generation to the other generation is also possible. Okay, so how gene expression is seen because of the post transcriptional mechanism. Okay, and also this nuclear envelope provides opportunity to control gene expression at transcription level. Okay, and yes, coming to the different organelles and major functions. So till now we have studied about many organelles, their structure and their functions, right? So let us put it in one frame. Okay, one major function of this particular organelle, that is plasma membrane. What is it? It transport ions and molecules. Then cytosol, what it does, it metabolizes carbohydrates, lipids, and amino acids. Okay, and mitochondria, no need to tell at all, it is the energy production house. Okay, that is ATP is generated there. Then endoplasmic reticulum, synthesis of proteins and lipids, rough endoplasmic reticulum proteins and smooth endoplasmic reticulum lipids. Then Golgi apparatus, what does it do? It modifies and sorts, packaging, transporting of the proteins takes place here. Okay, then lysozymes, what does it do? Cellular digestion takes place, digesting the um, molecule, the thing that enters the lysosome, and also it acts as a suicidal bag where the uh, it it is involved in engulfing and digesting the worn out cells. Okay, and peroxisomes, it is the utilization of hydrogen peroxide so hydrogen peroxide is catalyzes to water and oxygen. Then chloroplast is involved, mainly involved in photosynthesis in only plants. Then cytoskeleton is involved in cell morphology and cell mobility. Okay, the nucleus, the main function of the nucleus, because it has chromatin network in it, chromatin network, that is chromosomes are present, so DNA synthesis and repair takes place in nucleus. Okay, so this is the plant cell. Okay, so all the things are same. Okay, we have endoplasmic reticulum, smooth endoplasmic and rough endoplasmic. We have nucleus here, Okay, see, the nucleus is present, right? And what does the nucleus has? Again, the chromatin, it has nuclear envelope, nucleolus, okay? And also see the endoplasmic reticulum. On that you have ribosomes present, so protein factory. Then Golgi apparatus is also present in plant cell as in animal cell. Then mitochondria, see, mitochondria is present here as in animal cell. Then peroxisomes are also present. And here cytoskeleton is also present, that is microtubules, microfilaments, everything is present here. Vacuole is also present. Okay, so, and plasma membrane is also present. What is extra present here? Okay, so one is, you can see the chloroplast that is present here, which is the site for photosynthesis. Okay, and other plastids, other set of plastids present. Okay, to give color to the leaf, color to the fruit, color to the flower, for storage, and to give other pigments to the plant. Okay, and what else extra is present? The cell wall is present here, okay, which is made up of cellulose. To it gives the rigidity and stability to the cell wall. Okay, and it maintains the shape of the cell wall. So here plant cell is rectangular in shape, whereas animal cell is irregular or oval in shape. Okay, and also you can see a convolution here. Okay, so see here, you can see the convolutions. So that is called plasmodesmata. So this is the channel where one cell and other cell communicate. Okay, that connects. So all that is present in all other organelles that are present in animal cell is present in plant cell also. Only the major difference is the chloroplast and the cell wall and the plasmodesmata. And also see the size of the vacuole here. It is very big and prominent, whereas in animal cell it is a small one. Okay, and the new presence of nucleus is at one corner in plant cell, whereas it is at the center in animal cell. Okay, so going to the next slide, differences between plant cell and animal cell. Okay, so here plant cell is usually large, okay, comparative to animal cell. Animal cell is smaller. So cell wall is present here, where in plant cell, whereas cell wall is absent in animal cell. Then centrosome is present in animal cell, whereas it is absent in plant cell. So vacuole is larger in plant cell, whereas it is smaller in animal cell. Cytoplasm is not so dense, but here in animal cell it is denser with more granules present in it. Okay, so nucleus is at the center, where in animal cell, whereas in plant cell it is to the periphery, the nucleus. Okay, so this is all about the cell structure and function. I hope the session, you understood the complete session throughout. Yeah, thank you, and we will meet you in the next class. Thank you.